fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the 8th wave of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection from Hasbro. It is comprised of the Dino Thunder Blue Ranger, the S.P.D Pink Ranger, and the Zeo Green Ranger. Now, there was a 4th figure in the wave, Lost Galaxy Red. I decided to pass on that because I already had the Lost Galaxy Red from the 2-pack they put out years ago with Psycho Red, and it turns out I probably could have passed that altogether because both of those figures got other releases. But in any case, there are some different accessories with that release, but for right now, I'm going to pass on it. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm never going to get it, maybe if it goes on clearance or something, but to me, it just wasn't worth rebuying the entire figure for the one accessory that he comes with that the other one didn't have, the bazooka. So that's where we're at right now. But we're definitely going to be taking a look at these three today. I think all three of these look really fantastic. This is a really solid wave. First up, we're going to take a look at Ethan, the Dino Thunder Blue Ranger. You can see the civilian head here actually looks pretty good. We'll be taking a closer look at that a little bit later on. He does actually include his Triceratops shield. It is behind the cardboard here. It's a little bit deep into the packaging, but it is there. We'll take a look at that as well. The artwork on the side looks really, really good. And then you can see here is a picture of the figure on the back with that shield as I was talking about. Very, very cool. Next up we have S.P.D Pink Sydney. She comes with a ton of accessories. She has the baton in both the extended and unextended form. She has her S.P.D license, some extra hands and whatnot. Her civilian head looks pretty good as well. Artwork on the packaging looks pretty great. And then last but certainly not least, we have Zeo Green Adam. Really sharp looking figure. Really, really nice likeness of Johnny Young Bosch. I think they did a great job with the civilian head. Definitely one of my favorites. And we'll take a close-up look at that in a little bit. And again, artwork on the box, really fantastic. And he actually comes with his axes, even though Rocky didn't come with his Tonfas. So they're going to, I think they said they're going to go back and rectify that at some point. That's going to be packed in with some other future release, so we can eventually get all of the Zeo weapons. Because Tommy did come with his sword. But yeah, pretty cool. So really solid wave, like I said, as I'm knocking over the boxes. Packaging's really sharp. Really like this quite a bit. Going to go ahead and get all three out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here are the three out of the box. We'll start with Sid. And she looks really, really good. I think they did a really nice job. They've really done a good job with all of the S.P.D Rangers so far. With the numbers, the white paint, and everything is really crisp. Looks really sharp. Helmet looks really great. See if I can get a little bit closer here and get this to actually focus. There we go. Nice silver paint there. Has the correct number of little notches here. The S.P.D symbol on the helmet could be a little bit more pronounced, but it's not terrible. And then you have the black visor, which looks pretty good. S.P.D badge here on the side on the arm as well. She's got the S.P.D logo there on the belt buckle. Overall, pretty good. Articulation-wise, you have a hinge in the neck, as well as a ball joint for the actual helmet itself. You have a butterfly joint in the arm. I think it's kind of funny because it kind of extends the white line of the 5, depending on how much you extend it out. You do have a normal hinge and rotation in the shoulder. You have a hinge and swivel in the elbow. And then you also have a hinge and swivel in the wrist. You have kind of a ball joint here in the torso, and she does have a very tiny little ab crunch joint. It's a little difficult to get it to move, but you can. Down at the waist there. You have a ball joint in the hip. Then you have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, boot swivel, and then you have a hinge and rocker on the ankle. So pretty much the articulation you would expect. And she looks good. They did a really nice job. She comes with a ton of accessories. As you can see, she's got the fully extended baton here. She also has this gun piece here on the side, which I will say is a little difficult to get into this holster. But you have the large hook that goes around like where you would put the trigger finger. And then you kind of have to lift this up and get it to fit inside. But it can be done. And then you can actually attach the baton to this. I'm going to use the, I can't remember, it's been a minute since I've seen S.P.D. She does come with the smaller version of the baton as well. And I'm pretty sure you hook this in here. I just can't remember exactly how you do it. Maybe something like that, I want to say. Of course, it's falling out on me. But I believe this is meant to be hooked in like that, so she can use it as a gun as well. And this has a lot of nice paint. You can see the S.P.D logo, or at least the letters. All that silver paint, the red paint. All very sharp. So I think that's pretty cool. And then she does come with a license. Has S.P.D, nice silver paint. And she comes with a hand to hold it, but unfortunately it doesn't hold it that well. I would think you'd want this finger to go on the top so it can hit the button for judgment, but it certainly doesn't really hold it that way. So then I tried to just kind of, you know, get it to sandwich in between the fingers like this, and it kind of does, but it doesn't hold it. Like if I if I use gravity like this, it can kind of hold it, but then as soon as you turn the hand, it just falls. So that's kind of a bummer. Like I appreciate that she comes with the license, but if the hand that's supposed to hold it can't actually hold it, then it's not doing me any favors. So I don't know, maybe just over time I can kind of push these together and hope it grips a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe I'm holding it wrong. It's very possible, but I can't really get it to hold in there. She also comes with a normal fist, and I gotta be honest, I kind of wish this was silver, because in the show she would always have that little piece of metal, and her superpower was that it could turn the fist, you know, into the same metal. And I know she used that mostly in civilian form, but I just think it would have been neat. If you're going to give her a fist anyway, I mean, give her a regular white one too, but then go ahead and throw in a silver one. I just think would have been fun. And then here's the civilian head. I think they did a pretty good job with the civilian head. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of civilian heads, and I shouldn't say I'm not a huge fan. They're not as important to me as I know they are for a lot of other people. I almost always just leave them in, you know, the full Ranger suit. But I do think that that's a pretty good Ranger head, or civilian head, I should say. So, I think they did a nice job with that. Other accessories, she does have the effect piece. Again, I'm not a huge effect piece person, but you can go ahead and put this. I know that there's a little spot for this to clip on. There it is, right there. So you can kind of put that at the end of the sword. So if you're, you know, slashing an enemy or something, you have the effect piece there. We've seen this one before. I think we have this in just about every color at this point. So, but yeah, that's it for accessories for her. And the other thing I want to point out, because I do think this is a little weird. So, we know what this holster is for the little sidearm. I'm assuming this side is supposed to be for the smaller version of the baton, but it's kind of weird to get this in here. It doesn't feel like it wants to go all the way in. It almost feels like it's upside down, because the larger section is on the bottom, and you'd think it would be vice versa. You'd think it would start out larger and then taper down. So I don't know if it's supposed to go like this, which seems odd, but maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Again, it's been a minute since I've seen S.P.D, so I don't know. But it seems like it would naturally go like this, which you can still do. I just feel like wouldn't the larger loop be on the top? So I don't know. It's a little weird. I just think that's a little weird. But I do think that this one works very well. It's just a matter of getting the big loop in there and then kind of tucking this around so that it will fit. But then once it's in there, I mean, that's not going anywhere. That's really in there, and that's definitely not going to fall out anytime soon. So all in all, I think S.P.D Pink looks pretty great. Really nice job on the suit. All the paint applications look good. Great articulation. Accessories are really good. Just a little confused on the holster there. And the hand that can't really grip the S.P.D license is kind of a bummer. But other than that, she is pretty great. Make sure I can get her to stand here. There we go. Next up, we're going to move on to Ethan, the Dino Thunder Blue Ranger. And he looks pretty good. Once again, they did the visor in silver, which is not technically correct. It should be white, but at least he is consistent with Connor. In the last wave, he also had a silver visor. Overall, for the most part, I think the helmet does look good. You know, they have the 3 silver horns here. The visor looks pretty sharp. Even though it's not technically the right color, it still looks good. This big symbol on his chest, I think, is painted very nicely. That looks great. All the diamonds. I do kind of wish that they would fill the joints in with white so that the diamonds look filled in, but that's a minor nitpick. And he does have the right morpher, at least. It's just painted in white, which is kind of a bummer, but it is at least, you know, a distinct Triceratops morpher, so I do appreciate that. And of course, these triangles on the back of the hand should be white as well, but minor nitpicks. He's pretty much got all the same articulation as Sydney does. with the exception of double jointed elbows. So he doesn't have the she doesn't have a bicep swivel. She has the swivel and bend at the elbow. The male figures have the bicep swivel and then double jointed elbows, and that's just because the female figure's arms are too slim that I think they're afraid they would break. But the torso and the ab crunch and the legs and everything else are pretty much exactly the same. It's just the biceps and shoulders are slightly different. Well, I guess not really shoulders. Biceps and elbows are slightly different. But he looks good. And you can see here he has the sidearm weapon. If I can get it out of the... You kind of have to turn it to get... It's kind of weird. You kind of have to like put it in. And then after you get the first little bit in, you kind of have to rotate it so that it fits. But again, it makes it so that it won't fall out. So that's kind of nice. So plop this out, rotate it. He can hold it, and he has a kind of trigger hand. Let me go ahead and get this in here. There we go. And he holds that pretty well. You can see in the hand right there. Very nice. This gun definitely could have a little bit more paint. It's not terrible, though. I mean, we have at least the silver. I think the whole thing was probably done in this gray plastic, and then they painted this all blue, and then the red and the black, so... Overall, it's not bad. And he's got the gold cuffs and everything painted, so that's good. He also comes with the sword mode of the weapon. Not bad. It even has the little logo molded on there, which is pretty cool. So that looks nice. The civilian head, I think, is really good. I think they did a nice job with this. I have heard of some people complaining that the eyes are printed on the cheeks instead of where they're supposed to be. So definitely look for that in the package before you pick it up, but I got lucky. I got mine online, but luckily when he got here, his eyes are painted in the right spot. So pretty good civilian head there, I have to say. Really nice job with that. He comes with one of these effect pieces, which you can put... The sword has a little spot right there, so that just pegs in. So then he's got crazy effect piece going on there. He comes with two hands. This one I'm assuming is just like a, posing hand, like he's about ready to do a martial arts move. But then he's also got this a little bit larger open hand. And this hand is for my favorite thing about the figure. Let's go ahead, take the gun out of his hand, and we'll put this back in the holster. And then we will switch out the hands. And it's very simple to do on any of these figures. You just pop it out and pop it back on. And then his best accessory, in my opinion, is the Tricera shield. And they did a nice job with this. The gold paint on the horns, all the white paint here. Underneath, you have this almost nail-looking piece that you can actually push out to extend the horn, which I think is really, really neat. That's a really nice feature. And then under here, you can see how this works. You take the hand, you kind of clip it on here, and then this part up here will clip on to the arm, and it's above the gold. I was afraid it was going to wear off on the gold wrist piece there, but I don't think it will because it's a little bit further past that. It's a little bit on the gold, but not 100%, so hopefully that won't wear off that gold paint. But I mean, that's solid. I mean, he's not going to drop that. That is on there. Then you can go ahead and extend the horn. I mean, it looks great. They did a really great job with this. I didn't even think they were going to include it at first. So I was really, really happy when they did include it. And not only that, did a pretty excellent job with it. So I'm really happy about that. Now, a lot of people have been asking, are you going to be able to combine the weapons from the three? I don't think so. Technically, I think the way this is, I don't think it's intentional, but you might be able to just lay the Tyranno staff kind of in that gully there. But I don't think there's, it doesn't look like there's anywhere for the Terra grips to attach on the side. So I don't think that's going to be a possibility. But you might be able to lay the staff in there and kind of unofficially connect one of them. But unfortunately, there's not really anywhere for the grips to clip on. So that's a bit of a bummer. It would have been really neat if they could have combined them because they did it for Mighty Morphin. Those weapons actually combined. So would have been neat if they would have done that. But either way, I still think they did a really nice job with this shield. And honestly, they did a really nice job with the Ethan figure in general. He looks really sharp. I think they did a good job. Not perfect. Like I said, the visor should be white, but at least he's consistent with the one they've already done. So, they messed up once, but they're sticking to it, so they're uniform. I guess that's better than doing them all completely different. But either way, really sharp figure, great civilian head, great accessories. Ethan looks fantastic. Last but by no means least, we have Zeo Green Adam. Look at those axes. Those are great. I mean, fantastic detail. The paint's really sharp. They just look great. Really, really great. Now he does have, this is kind of a trigger finger hand. You can see the one finger is stuck out, and this is just kind of a normal grasping hand. He doesn't have two grasping hands, so you're going to have to use a trigger finger hand to hold one of the axes, but that's really not that big a deal. I really like the axe accessories. I think they did a really nice job with those. Now you can see he has the two sidearms just like the regular Zeo Rangers, or I should say the other Zeo Rangers before him. You have the full-size sword, which, although it looks like it can telescope, sadly cannot. Would have been a nice feature, but I get it. Nicely painted and detailed there. Really nice detail on the hilt. I think that looks really, really good. And then you have the gold and blue paint, and that just slides in very simply on the little holster there. And then he does have the gun sidearm as well. Go ahead and pop this out of the holster and let Adam stand for a minute if he'll cooperate. So we can take a closer look at this. This is really nicely done, really nicely painted, and I'm very happy to see they did not paint the tip of the gun this time. That way when you go to use the effect piece that comes with it, it just pegs right on, no issue. With Tommy's, they painted the whole gun, and when you went to put this on for the first time, it like cracked the paint and took a little bit of the gun's paint off as well. So I'm very happy to see that they did not paint the tip of the gun this time, so that way you can attach that effect piece without incident. And I got to tell you, I love that. That is a perfect little effect piece. Really works well. I love that a lot. Really, really looks sharp. And then you can just go ahead and load this back in very simply. So really, really happy with all of his accessories. Now, in addition to everything we've seen so far, of course, he does have that civilian head, which I think looks fantastic. He's even got his little earring. Perfect. And a lot of people have gone back and put this on Mighty Morphin Black's body, and it works 100%. I don't have it handy to show you that right now, but it is a great civilian head. It looks great on either Zeo Green or Mighty Morphin Black. Really, really well done. I was kind of interested to see that they went with short hair Adam instead of the little bit longer hair. I guess kind of towards the end of Zeo and definitely into Turbo, he kind of grew his hair long. I'm assuming if they ever eventually get to Turbo Green, we'll get kind of a long-haired Adam with that one. And then you can have a couple options to switch back and forth. The only other thing he comes with is a set of closed fists. Nothing super exciting there. Just, gives you a couple posing options and whatnot. And then he's got all the same articulation as Ethan. And the helmet looks pretty sharp. I think they did a good job with that. Nice silver line on the visor there. But yeah, all three of these figures are really, really great, and I definitely advise picking up all three of them. I'm sure, the Galaxy, Lost Galaxy Red is also good. I mean, I have the original, and that was really good. And that one, I think, is the head mold for Leo is slightly different. And obviously it comes with a few different accessories, but like I said, for me, it wasn't worth rebuying that whole figure. I just don't have a deep connection to Lost Galaxy. It's perfectly good. It's just not one of my favorites, so, the desire to rebuy that figure just wasn't there for me personally, but I'm sure it's great. These three are fantastic. I definitely recommend picking them up. Really great accessories this time around. Really nice paint, articulations there. Not too many flubs on Hasbro's part this time, which is really great. Like I said, the only other things I would really even mention as far as like nitpicks, what I didn't like. With Ethan, obviously, I would love it if the, three weapons could combine, but it doesn't look like there's anywhere for the Terra Grips to combine if they even eventually get to Kira. The fact that the visor is done in silver, I'm at least happy that it's consistent with what they've done already, but it should be white. But that's really minor nitpicks. His civilian head's great. His accessories are great. The shield, I think they really crushed it. Other than not being able to connect with the other weapons, it looks great. Nice paint. The fact that the horn can retract, it connects to the arm solidly, really great. Just overall as a figure, I think his articulation and paint applications look great. Sid looks great. For her, I would complain that the S.P.D badge doesn't really fit into that hand very well. I would like it if it kind of, you know, not necessarily clipped in, but wedged in well enough that she could pose holding it forward like they do on the show. Don't really see that as a possibility. I guess you could always a little drop of super glue or something if you didn't really ever want to take it out of the hand. I guess you could do something like that. Her civilian head's pretty good. Comes with both versions of the baton, although I feel like putting the baton in the holster is a little weird, but the sidearm gun on the other side of the holster fits perfectly. The 5 is painted very nicely. Really, all the paint applications on Sid look really good. Really happy with that figure as well. And then Adam. Adam just looks absolutely fantastic. Again, all of the sidearms, accessories and things look great. The axes look fantastic. His paint applications are good. Oh, I did want to do something real quick just before I wrap up here, because I did happen to have these handy, surprisingly. Here are the Bandai versions of Dino Thunder Blue and Zeo Green. Obviously, Bandai never got to Sid. So you can see, I definitely think Hasbro is doing a better job. I think the collar on this one was too big. I think it's a little bit more subtle over here and looks better. I think the helmet here looks better. The silver, I think, is a better choice. The white's, it's surprisingly a little too garish over here, for me at least. You get a better version of the sword. You know, overall, I just think this one's a little bit more successful. I feel like the what would you call this? I guess the vest part is a little too pronounced on this figure, where I feel like it's a little bit more subtle and looks a little bit better over here. So yeah, the Bandai one wasn't terrible, but I think the Hasbro one's a little bit more successful. Over here you can see, I guess we did get a little bit more paint on the Hasbro one. Looks a little bit better than the Bandai one over there. Otherwise, they're fairly similar. I think the gold's a little bit sharper on the Hasbro one. The emblem here on the chest isn't too bad, and he does have the white visor, so you can see how that should look, because it really should be white. But honestly, while white is correct, the silver doesn't bother me that much. Maybe it's just because I've had more time to get used to it, but actually I don't mind the silver as much. And I like the lesser muscular look of the Hasbro ones. You know, the 8-pack and the crazy pectorals. It's just a little too out of proportion for me. I think the Hasbro ones are just a little bit more normal looking. So just wanted to throw them up there real quick because I did have them handy. But yeah, these figures are great. I definitely recommend picking them up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.